Okay, in this video we're looking at simplifying expressions involving the laws of indices, and it's really important, if you haven't done so or you need to, you understand the 5 laws of indices at the grade 5 level. So that was the previous video, because if you understand that, this stuff is really just building on from that. Okay, without further ado, we'll go through 2 lots of my turn, your turns, and that will be it for this video. But beginning with the first lot of my turn, so what I recommend you do is you make notes on this and then you can try something very similar yourself. Right, the first one, we've got 6y cubed times by 2y to the power 5. And before I just kind of tell you how you do this, because it is quite intuitive, let's look at this in a bit of detail. What is going on behind the scenes? This first term here in the expression 6y cubed, in maths, if you've got things grouped together, you can write it, so 6y cubed, it really means you've got 6 and you're timesing it by y to the power of 3. If things are grouped together in maths, you're timesing them. So this means 6 times by y cubed. We're then timesing this by, we're timesing it by 2y to the power 5. And again, if your things are grouped together, it means you're timesing them. So this means you've got 2 times by y to the power of 5. And now if you go and consider your number parts, so you've got your 6 and you're timesing that by 2. Okay, well 6 times by 2, it is equal to 212. So 6 times 2, because we're timesing it, is 12. You've then got y cubed times by y to the power of 5. And we know from our laws of indices, if you're timesing indices with the same base, the base here being y, you add the powers. So 3 add 5 is equal to 8. So we get y to the power of 8, okay, and we're timesing them, so 12 times by y to the 8. But again in maths, if you've got things being times together, you can write it more simply, just as 12y to the power of 8, and that is your answer. That means 12 times by y to the 8, and there we go. So all we've done here is we've done the 6, we times it by the 2, which is the 12, and we've got y cubed times by y to the 5, which is y to the 8. Okay, so it is just literally timesing your numbers together, timesing your indices together to get your answer. I'm just showing you, okay, why that is the case for now, okay, because understanding it is obviously really, really important. Okay, the second one, we've got 8x cubed divided by 2x. Okay, and similarly again, right, we can go and do this 8 divided by 2 first of all. So you can do your number parts divided. So 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. We've then got our indice part, which is x cubed divided by x. And note, x, it does have a power. The power there is 1. You just can't see it. Okay? And what we're going to consider, well, what is x cubed divided by x to the 1? We know from our previous video, dividing indices with the same base, you subtract the powers. 3, take away 1 is 2, so we'll get x squared, and there we go. So literally, right, if you're dividing, you divide your number parts. 8 divided by 2 is the 4. We've then got x cubed divided by x to 1, which gives you x squared. So overall, we get 4x squared, and that is your answer. Okay, so it is quite intuitive. It is dividing your number parts, dividing your indice parts to give you your answer. There we go. Okay, this one below, this is a question that typically students don't answer particularly well, and let's look at what the answer is here. Let's look at how you get your answer. So here we've got 2 times 8 to the 4, all cubed. This really means you're taking 2a to the power of 4. Okay, this is your bit in brackets. If you're cubing something, you're timesing your thing by itself 3 times. So you're timesing 2a to the 4 by itself 3 times. Okay, that's what cubing means. So you're taking this, you're timesing it by itself all together 3 times. So times by 2a to the 4, times by 2a to the 4. There we go. You're cubing this here. Brilliant. And now if you wanted to really write this in long again, okay, we know that 2a to the power of 4. Okay, if you were to break it down even further, you could write it as 2 times by a to the 4. That's what it really means, okay, because it's grouped together. You're then timesing that again by 2 times by a to the 4. You're timesing that again by 2 times by a to the 4. And now we can see we've got a 2 times by a 2 times by a 2. Okay, 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. So you've got 8. We've then got a to the 4 times by a to the 4 times by a to the 4. And again, we're timesing the indices here with the same base. You've got to add the powers. So 4 add 4 add 4 is 12, so a to the power of 12. And that is your answer. When you go and do these questions, in reality, you would never really go and show all of that working. I'm just showing you why this is your answer. in theory, all we are doing here to get this answer is we're taking this 3 here, this cube, we're doing 2 cubed, 2 cubed is 8, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and then you go and use your power law and you go and do 4 times by that 3 is 12. So the bit that students often get wrong is they do something like 2 times 3. That is wrong. This 3 is cubing that 2, which is what you can see down here. That is why it is 8. And then you've got the 8 to the 4 cubed, so it's your power law. 4 times 3 from the previous video is 12. So that is your answer. The bit below is just showing you how we got to that answer, because understanding is really, really important. This last one, okay, it's really a similar example to the second question. Okay, it's just, we've got a negative involved, but it's the same idea. This time we're looking at dividing again. If you're dividing, we divide our number parts and then we divide our indice parts. So we go and do, first of all, 5 divided by 15. Well, maybe you're thinking, well, you can't do 5 divided by 15. You can. Okay, 5 divided by 15 is equal to, well, you could write it like this, 5 over 15. That means 5 divided by 15, but you can simplify that because 5 and 15 are both divisible by 5. So if you simplify down, this goes down to 1/3. So 1 over 3. So 5 divided by 15 is equal to 1 over 3. We then look at our indice part. Okay, so b to the 7 divided by b to the negative 2. It's just your laws of indices. Okay, we're dividing with the same base. You subtract the powers, so it's going to be b, and then you've got 7 take away negative 2. So you're doing 7 take away negative 2 because you're subtracting the powers. 7 take away negative 2 gives you 7 plus 2, which is equal to 9. So we get b to the power of 9. That is your answer. Okay, so just a slightly more awkward example just to finish up with there. Okay, so what you can do now is you can pause the video. You've got some questions that are very similar to the ones on the left, and then I will go through these right now. Okay, so the one on the first one, simplify this. We've got y to the power 5 times by 10y to the power 4. Begin by timing your number parts, and y to the power 5, you can't see it. There's actually a 1 in front of that y. So we're doing 1 times by that 10, which just gives you 10. And then laws of indices, timesing with the same base. Y to the 5 times by y to the power 4. You add the powers, which is 9. So y to the power of 9. And that is your first answer. If you got that, that's really good. Your second question, we've got 28b cubed divided by 7b to the power 5. Dividing, so we're going to take our number part, which is 28. We divide it by 7. 28 divided by 7 is equal to 4. We've then got our indice part, okay, which is b cubed, and we're dividing that by b to the 5. Subtract the powers, so we're doing b. 3 take away 5 is negative 2. So 4b to the power of negative 2. And that is your answer. Okay, good. If you want to be really, really fancy, that is absolutely your answer. Okay, if you want to be really fancy about it, okay, we know from the previous video that b to the minus 2, okay, can be written like this. So b to the negative 2 means you're doing reciprocal 1 over, because of the negative, your number, which is b, and you're squaring it. So you could write this, if you want to, as 4, because it's 4 times by the 1, just gives you the 4 over b squared. And both of these things here, they mean exactly the same thing. Okay, but probably most people at this stage, we're writing it like this, which is absolutely fine. That is good. Okay, next one, we've got 10x cubed, all cubed. Okay, and again, let's get rid of this now, otherwise it might get in the way of our answer. You apply your power here, the cube, to the number and then to the indice. So 10 cubed, okay, so 10 cubed, first of all, 10 times 10 times 10 is equal to 1,000. So we've got 1,000, and then you've got x cubed, all being cubed, that's your power law. 3 times 3 is 9, so x to the power of 9. And that is your answer for this one. This is one that students often find a little bit trickier. Okay, but that is your answer. And then last but not least, okay, we're timesing indices here. So we've got, first of all, your number part, so 3 times by 5. So we've got a 3 times 5, which is 15. We've then got d to the negative 2 times by d to the power of 5. You're timesing with the same base, so you've got to go and add the powers. Negative 2 add 5 is 3, so it's going to be d to the power of 3. And that is your answer for this one. Okay. If you got those correct, that is fantastic. Then we can look at some slightly trickier examples, but nothing that we can't handle. Okay, so again, we'll go through some 3, my turns here, and then you can try some yourself. This first one, we've got a to the 6 times by a to the 4 divided by a squared. Just look at this in parts. So first of all, if we just go and consider the numerator, okay, so this top part here, so we've got a to the 6 times by a to the 4. We're timesing with the same base, we add the powers, so it's going to be a 6 to the 4 is 10. That is the top part simplified, and then we're dividing by a squared. Okay, this means a to 10 divided by a squared. We know dividing this indices with the same base, you subtract the powers. So 10 take away 2 is 8, so we get a to the power of 8. It's just looking at it in parts. Okay, nothing that we can't handle. Good. This one down here, okay, a question that students really struggle with, but it's just applying what you know. So 4 times by a to the 6 times by b cubed, all being squared. And again, okay, we're just applying this square to, first of all, the number part. So 4 squared is equal to 4 times 4, which is 16. You've then got a to the 6. You times it with your exponent, your power here. So 6 times 2 is 12. So we get a to the power of 12. We've then got b, and then times the powers. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So b to the power of 6. So 16, a to the 12, b to the power of 6. And that is a question that students do not answer particularly well. They struggle with that kind of question. Just to show you, again, why this is the answer, if we were to break this down in more detail and look at what is going on here, well, we've got our number, which is 4a to the power of 6, b cubed. If you're squaring something, you're timesing your number, which is this, by itself. So 4a to the 6, b cubed. Well, what's 4 times 4? It is 16. What's a to the 6 times by a to the 6? Add the powers, a to the 12. What's b cubed times by b cubed? Add the powers, b to the 6. So that is what is going on behind the scenes there. Okay, your next one. Again, this is just a case of considering all of your different parts. We've got the number part, okay, which you can see here, 8 divided. Remember, this means divided by 4. We've then got a to the 5 divided by a to the 1. Okay, so that a, you can't see it, but because it's just on its own, okay, you can write it as a to the power of 1. And then we've got that b cubed, so we've got b cubed, and we're dividing it by b to the power of -5. Okay, so what's 8 divided by 4? It is 2. What's a to the 5 divided by a to the 1? Take away the powers, 5 take away 1 is 4, so a to the power of 4. What's b cubed? Take away -5, so 3 take away -5 is 3 plus 5, which is 8. So b to the power of 8. There we go. That is your answer. Okay. So what you can do now is you can pause the video. You can try those 3 there, and that is going to be it for this video. So the first one, again, we're just going to be looking at the top part first of all. So we're timesing with the same base. We add the powers. So 9 add -3 just means 9 take away 3, which is 6. So b to the 6 over, or divided by b squared. So dividing, we take away the powers. 6 take away 2 is 4. So b to the power of 4. That is your answer. Brilliant. There we go. Okay, good. Your next one, you apply your power. So 2xy cubed, all being cubed. You apply the power to the 2 first of all. So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. You've then got x to the power of 1, and you're timesing with the power, which is here. 1 times 3 is 3, so x to the power of 3. You've then got y cubed times y being cubed, sorry. So 3 times 3 is 9, so y to the power of 9. And that is your answer, okay, which is really good. We've then got the last one. Okay, again, considering each of your parts. Sorry, it's not very neat, is it? So what's 5 divided by 10? Well, 5 divided by 10, okay, is equal to a half. If you simplify by dividing through by 5, 5 divided by 5 is 1, 10 divided by 5 is 2, so you get 1 over 2. So a half, or you could write it as 0.5. We've then got x to the 9 divided by x cubed. Dividing to take away the powers, 9 take away 3 is going to give you that 6. We've then got y to the 6 divided by y to the 9. Take away the powers, 6 take away 9 is -3. So y to the power of negative 3. Brilliant. And that is your final answer. So that is it for simplifying expressions involving indices. If you got all of that correct, that is fantastic. Well done. Thank you.